What is going on, Nuggets Nation NBA fans? I am Tom Leuthner. Welcome back into Nuggets Today, off season officially, day one of free agency. We got some things to cover here, obviously. I'm on the road again, so I know the setup's a little different. We'll be on the road for a couple more episodes, then we'll be right back at the home setup. The first thing I want to cover is easily the biggest move so far of free agency, and that is that Michael Porter Jr. is officially shipped out to Brooklyn, and we're going to get into the trade within this next topic. So I'm going to start off with MPJ, and I'm going to miss him in Denver 150%. He was a major factor in so many things when it came to playing for Denver. Ended off on such a tough note, playing through a separated shoulder that they said should have taken anywhere from 2 to 6 months to try and get Denver to another finals, which obviously did not happen. And that is the reason why the move was made, obviously. So there have been so many up and downs for MPJ. His highs were at maximum highs, especially for a role player, and his lows were at maximum lows for what he was getting paid. Now, I know I've had my conversations about Denver should be shipping MPJ out and they should get all these hauls for him, but I've also had my conversations where I think they should have kept him and actually attempted to continue to make moves and try to go after another championship with what vets they could get in the offseason. And unfortunately, that did not work out in MPJ's favor. It may have worked out in Denver's favor. And obviously, like I said, this is being recorded in the middle of the night on day one. I'm actually covering up to the latest time I could cover before I got to get ready to go to sleep. It's pretty late here. Now, like I said, I'm not upset that Denver moved on from MPJ just because of his salary cap, but I will miss the game that MPJ brings, especially around Jokic, because it really was it was a great game. He's a spot-up shooter who's 6'10", got rebounds when you needed them. Like I said, I do appreciate what MPJ did and brought to Denver, but I am glad that we got his contract off the books. And now we got his contract off the books for this player specifically, and that is Cam Johnson. Now, there are some things I like about the trade. There are some things I don't like about the trade. The one thing I like about it the most is that Cam Johnson's game sort of replicates MPJ's game offensively, except he's a little bit of a better playmaker. So you're right there, you're getting the addition of playmaking. You do lose some things with Cam Johnson, right? You look at what Cam Johnson could do. You lose a first-round pick, an unprotected first-round pick. That's first. That trade was officially, now I'm going to say the entire trade, and that was Cam Johnson and the unprotected first for 32 for Michael Porter Jr., which in hindsight, it could be a good trade. You're dumping Michael Porter Jr.'s contract, and you get to save. I mean, again, I think if Denver cuts Dario, they'll be at $17 million from the time of this recording in order to go out, or it's $17 million that they're able to go out and spend. And I think that's a great number for Denver, considering the fact that they had, a mid-level exception and 2 minimums to give out before this. So, like I said, you lose the contract and you gain the playmaking. You gain you sort of replicate a player from Cam Johnson to MPJ. Now, the things about Cam Johnson that I am a little upset about. You lose 2 inches, which isn't terrible, but being the fact that Denver plays a semi-small lineup already, and I know it's weird to say because you look at the lineup and you think it's a bigger lineup. You have AG at the small forward, power forward. You have Brown at the shooting guard. Murray's a bigger point guard. Jokic is a center, obviously. But Jokic is a smaller center. I believe Jokic is 6'10", 6'11". Now you have AG, who's 6'9". Your small forward is now not 6'10", he's 6'8". You have Christian Brown, Jamal Murray in the 6'4" to 6'7" range. So I think that Denver will miss that height. I think that MPJ contributed as a major factor for the fact that he was 6'10" at the small forward position. I also get nervous that Denver's losing the rebounding. You look at their stats, MPJ was averaging 7 to 8 rebounds a game. And Cam Johnson's only averaging around 4. Now, is that going to be a make or break for Denver? No, if they're able to go out day 2 and actually sign a center, because I think that is the biggest thing that Denver's lacking is a backup center. And I know Holmes is going to come in, but I also get nervous because you look at a team like the Spurs who just got Luke Cornett. When it comes to playing them, and they might be a playoff team if they're healthy this year, you're going to have to go against Wemby and Cornett, who are 7'2" and 7'3". So, like I said, Denver needs a legitimate backup center because the Clippers went out and signed Brook Lopez, so they have a backup center. Another team I'm going to get to here in a little while got 2 backup centers so far this offseason. Denver needs to go out and get a backup center. But Cam Johnson, 6'8" small forward, able to shoot the ball just as well as MPJ, and he's a way better playmaker. Now, I wish that in that trade, Denver was able to get maybe one more thing out of that trade contractually and because of the unprotected pick. And I wish maybe that was Deron Holmes, if that was a possibility, even though he's a smaller center. But it wasn't, I guess. I guess Denver couldn't work out getting anybody, whether that be Zaire Williams, who they just re-signed, whether that be, like I said, Deron Sharp. But I'm fine with getting Cam Johnson, dumping MPJ's contract. And because they dumped MPJ's contract, they were able to get this next player. And that is a guy that we already know works in Denver's system. Now, Bruce Brown is officially back on the Denver Nuggets. And I speak to the community every day. The chat that I'm in on Instagram especially is one of my favorite chats because it's daily conversations on people's opinions, obviously whatever happened today in free agency. And the chat blew up that my phone actually bugged out for a little while and I could not get back onto Instagram because I want to say there was about 300 texts immediately when Bruce signed. Now, I love Bruce. I think the entire community loves Bruce. And I think Bruce plays a major factor because he was able to play the 1 through 3 and sometimes a small 4, depending on the lineup we ran when he was on our championship team. And I think that's amazing. The one thing I wish Denver would do, and they still can, obviously, there's still a lot more time left of free agency, is go out and bring in a backup point guard, even though they already said that since they got Bruce, they're no longer interested in bringing in Russell Westbrook again, which I'm again, very interesting to me. You would think you would want to play a lineup of a backup point guard, Bruce, Deron Holmes, Payne Watson, Strother. I mean, that's what you would think, and I'm surprised that they're not. So I think maybe the thought is that Bruce will be playing the backup 1, Strother rather would be playing the backup 2, and then Watson and Holmes are the 3 and 4, and maybe they have plans to bring in a backup center. The backup center market is a little scarce right now. I think Bol, at the time of this being recorded, Bol is still in the market, and I would love to bring him in. I know people think that's controversial, but now there's talk about Yabusele being somebody who's on the market for Denver because they can officially afford to bring in a backup center power forward. So I think maybe Yabusele could be a good fit for Denver if you're able to play him and Deron Holmes with Bruce at the 1. I think that Bruce is a great personality and he brings culture to the Denver community. And I think that everybody here loves him, so it's even more of a plus. Now, this last thing I'm going to talk about here isn't specifically the Nuggets, but it is free agency. Like I've covered, a lot of Western Conference teams have picked up backup centers, and this team has picked up 2 of them. Now, the team I'm talking about, if you couldn't figure it out now, is obviously the Houston Rockets. Now, there's a lot of competition in the West. The Spurs got better. The Clippers got better. Obviously, the Nuggets got better. The Lakers, I think, got a little bit better, even though they lost Finney-Smith to the Rockets, but they got Jake LaRavia, who was a massive signing. You look at how deep this Rockets team really is, and their lineup is going to be something along the lines of Fred VanVleet at the 1. It'll be Amen Thompson, at the 2. It'll be either Jabari Smith or DFS at the 3, KD at the 4, and then their 5 is Şengün. Now, their backup 5 is Steve Adams, and their third string 5 is Clint Capella. 2 guys who everybody wanted Denver to pick up because they're 2 of the best rebounding bigs on the market. They are going to be dominating the center depth. Then you look at their bench. Like I said, Jabari Smith is going to start probably, and then you have Dorian Finney-Smith off the bench for them. You have Reed Shepherd off the bench. You have a guy who the Nuggets were supposedly interested in, Cam Whitmore, off the bench for them. So they're a super young team. Like I said, a lot of teams in Western Conference got better, but I just wanted to quickly cover this team because of their center depth, and that's something that Denver's lacking, and say that this team is truly scary. Now, one of my best friends, Bailey, he is a huge Rockets fan, so we were having a conversation. Obviously, I didn't want to admit it when we were texting, but I will admit it here. They scare me right now going into next season if Denver does not go out and get a backup center while this episode is either being recorded or after this episode is recorded. Hopefully tomorrow there's a backup center, whether that's Boucher, whether that's Bol, whether that's Yabusele on the Nuggets tomorrow. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys, Nuggets Nation. I am super ecstatic about this move. Don't think I'm not. Again, it's a little quiet right now. It is very late. I'm just trying to process the fact that we brought back Bruce Brown and we're able to move MPJ's contract, and there's actually moves we can make now. like I said, that's all I got for you guys right now. Let me know if you want me to cover anything down below in the comments. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I will catch you guys for day 2 of free agency. Peace out, guys.